Merry meet everyone, I'm Raegan Shanti. I am a solitary pagan eclectic witch and a contributor and workshop leader for the Children of Artemis. And I've also done a few bits for Pagan Pride as well. And I've also got some stuff in the works for Wolfenhowle Press and Moon Books. And I'm here to talk to you about movement meditation. So some of you have done these workshops with me already and have done a few with me in the past. And it's been a while since I've done them. So the last few Artemis and Witchfest, I've been doing stuff about Hindu mythology, which I love and I will continue doing some stuff about. But I wanted to come back to movement meditation purely because of the situation we've all found ourselves in. So we're on lockdown, we're in quarantine, and we are not to leave our homes unless strictly necessary. And while for some people it's ideal because we've got many introverts in the group who don't really want to go outside anyway, and I'm kind of one of them. I love being outdoors, but being around people, don't like it that much, so I'm okay with being at home. But there comes a time for everyone, whether they're introverted or extroverted, where it's gonna get old. We're gonna be looking at the same thing day in and day out, and it's gonna impact our mental health. There's no way around it. So I want to talk to you guys about some meditation. And so those of you who know me or have been to my talks, I talk about this a lot, how I am absolutely terrible at traditional meditation. If I sit down and I close my eyes and I empty out my mind, my mind will wander. I won't be thinking of peace and wholeness. I will be thinking about what I'm about to have for lunch, or where I'm gonna go for dinner, what I'm gonna make for dinner, have my cats been fed, what are they up to right now because I'm not with them. And so I struggle, and also if sitting still for too long I do start to fidget and I will start moving around. So I apologise if you hear some squeaking. That is my chair. It swivels but also rocks back and forth, and it does make an almighty squeak. I don't know if the camera's going to pick up that sound, but if it does, really sorry, it is the chair. So, movement meditation. As I have said many times in my blog posts and my talks, I am a dancer. Outside of my pagan path, I am a dance teacher, I'm a choreographer, I direct a dance company. So dance is basically my life. And as a result, that's kind of wormed its way into my spiritual life. And I found that I could get myself quite easily into a meditative state while I'm dancing. Much easier compared to if I'm trying to do any kind of meditation but on purpose. So any of the classical stuff, like sitting and emptying your mind, the lotus position, or focusing on a candle flame or on a crystal. For me, movement was the way I did it. And today I'm not going to be saying, right now we're going to do lots and lots of dancing, we're going to fling ourselves all over the room. And I have done workshops like that before, and it is a great amount of fun. But I want to focus on just movement rather than dance. And also as well, this type of movement it's mindful, and it's about getting yourself connected with yourself and with your breathing and your body, and just basically just coming within yourself and just being in the moment. You're not trying to reach any higher truths or anything like that. It's just about bringing yourself to a point of relaxation. So as I said, there's loads of things we can do as focal points. We can use props, we can use candles, we can use crystals. For this, we are going to use our breath. And that is really important. And it's one of the key components of practices like yoga, where your breath is tied to what you're doing, not just for the sake of meditation, but also for safety. Because if your breathing is out of sync with your movement, it can cause dizziness, it can cause lightheadedness, and it also makes it harder for you to do the movements because your muscles aren't getting what they need at the right time. So this is why I have brought breath into our focal practice and our meditation. And what we're going to do is we're going to connect our movement to our breath. So we're going to start off, we're going to make sure we've got a nice clear space. So it depends what you're going to do. So for the purposes of this, I'm not going to leave my chair. And I'm doing this because I want to keep it accessible for everybody, because I know not everyone can get up and move around. Whether it's because you are in a space where you don't have a lot of room, or it's because you have an injury or a mobility issue, that means that moving around is either not possible, or doing so will mean you cannot do anything else for the rest of the day. And we don't want to do that. This is for relaxation, not wearing you out. And for a practical reason as well, that my camera doesn't zoom out enough. So even if I did move around the room, you wouldn't see it. So if you are choosing to move around the space, then that's absolutely fine. But as a safety precaution, make sure you've cleared enough space. And that doesn't mean just pushing furniture and stuff out of the way up to the walls or out into a different room, but that's also making sure that you don't have any unexpected visitors. So partners, children, pets, make sure they are cleared out of the way, because nothing breaks meditation faster than accidentally backhanding your cat. Okay? We don't want that. And I have 4 cats. They do get in the way. I've got a little one, Taliesin, who loves winding around my legs. So I will make sure that he is not in the room if I'm going to do any dancing of any kind, because he will trip me up or I'll kick him. Either way, one of us is going to get hurt. So otherwise, if this was just a talk about stuff that's not movement, I'd probably invite him in here, because he loves a good show for the camera. So maybe in future talks I might bring him in and he can join in this talk. I'm sure he'll have a few things to say as well, because he's quite a chatty little man. Anyway, back on point. So if you've cleared your space, and if you're sitting, make sure you've got room around you. So just stick your arms out and just reach out. However you're planning on reaching, however much space you're planning on occupying, make sure there's nothing you can knock over. And on this note, I'm also going to mention having a bottle of water. And I do mean bottle, so something you can seal, because you don't want to get right to the height of things, swing an arm out, and next thing you know, there's water all over the floor. And that goes without saying, but sometimes people forget about this and will have like a glass out, and then they knock it over, and that's just not fun. That's a good way to end your practice really fast. So once you're comfortable, get yourselves into so once you're clear, get yourself comfortable. So you want to get yourself into a chair of some description, or lie down on your sofa. If you want to lay down on your bed, if you're happy being on the floor. Whatever it is, make sure it's something you can maintain for a long period of time, especially if you're not planning on getting up and moving around, because it's going to be something that you don't want to be in the middle of a practice and then all of a sudden your back starts twinging or your knee starts playing up. So there has to be something that you can maintain for however long you want your practice to be. And it's really important while you're doing your practice is to keep listening to your body while we're still trying to bring ourselves to center and to still our minds a little bit. Listen to your body. If it starts protesting, bring your practice to a close. It's very important you listen to yourself. And so with that, I've now covered everything, all the safety precautions, and we're just going to get through to some practice. So I'm going to talk you through it and give you sort of like a base of how to do it, but I'm also going to demonstrate as best I can. Obviously, because of how much me is actually in the frame, I can't do that much, but I'm not intending on doing that much anyway, because I want to tell you how to do this rather than me just doing it and you're watching going, she's flailing around a lot. So we're going to start with some tips of how to get started and where you can go from there, and then how to bring yourselves back. And then once you've watched all of this, you can bring yourself into that point and think, okay, I know what to do now. If you're taking notes, I would suggest take some notes so you've got something to refer to rather than having to go back and go, oh, what did Raegan say? Let me check that. So once we are in our bed or sofa or chair or whatever and we're comfy, and sorry, that was the creak of the chair again because I leant back, you see, and I just want you to close your eyes and clear your mind, well, not clear your mind, but just as best you can anyway. And all you're going to do is listen to your breathing. And you're going to take a deep breath in and breathe out. Keep everything nice and still and breathe in and out. So it's up to you whether or not you just want to do normal breathe in and breathe out, or if you want to do moon breaths, if you know what those are. So that's when you breathe in for 4 seconds, you hold for 4 seconds, breathe out for 4 and hold for 4. For me, I mean, while I do like that as a nice way of calming myself and stilling myself, I don't feel like that's quite what you need for this practice if it's not something that's already natural to you, otherwise you spend your entire time counting. But if it's something that comes quite naturally to you and it works for you, go for it. So once we've done a bit of listening to our breathing and we've breathed in and out and we're feeling how that feels within our body and we know how our body moves when it does. So some people, their stomach will expand when they breathe in, some people their chest will lift. But is up. So I want you to explore that for yourself, and I want you to take note of how your body feels when it does that. You might find there are some things that you're natural instincts you're fighting, so just let those go, because I know there are some people who don't like their stomach to expand, so they channel it all elsewhere and keep their stomach sucked in, which is normal. That's something that's a patriarchal society has conditioned us to do. So anything that it puts any unnecessary tension in your body, just let it go. And once you're in that and it's starting to feel quite natural, more natural, and not really focusing on it that much anymore, I want you to bring in a hand. And we're kind of gonna imagine this hand as like an extension of our lungs. So when we breathe in, our hand is gonna open, and then when we breathe out, it's gonna close. So let's do it together, and we go in and out. And again. And it's up to you if you want to keep looking at your hand as it happens, or you can close your eyes and just feel. And just feel your hand moving. And just let that sensation be your point of focus along with your breath. So once this starts to feel a bit more second nature to you, might notice I'm doing already, my hand is moving up and down. So you want to expand it a little bit. So as you breathe in, you extend, and as you breathe out, you contract. And I'm using that as in a come back into center. If you want to experiment and do some body contractions, which is where you curve everything in or you close everything up, that's absolutely fine. But I'm not giving you any specific moves to do. This is all just an idea. So you can just stick with the one hand. You could bring both in and start doing that and start expanding, going different directions. But take it slowly. So when you start off, it's just the hand. And then you can start lifting it. Then you can start lifting a bit more. And then you can now stretch. And then once that's being fully extended, you can start looking at other parts of your body and alternating which arm you're using. But everything is on the inhale and the exhale. So it's all about your entire body being an extension of your lungs, if that makes sense. And so we're getting bigger. And if you want to use the room, if you feel like you want to get up, sorry, there's a chair cooking again. If you want to get up and move around the room, I would suggest, if you're going to do that, you don't do it with your eyes closed. I know some people, for some people, meditation only works for them if their eyes are closed. And that's totally fine. But when you're getting up and moving around, I would suggest keeping your eyes open. Because even if you know your house at the back of your hand, and you know everything really well, you know exactly where everything is, when you're in your liminal moment and you're dancing and you're kind of in this like frenetic primal state, you will lose track of where everything is. And what you might think is a bit of empty space is actually the door. And you go, wham. So, just as a safety thing, please keep your eyes open if you're going to get up and move around. Unless you're planning on staying on the spot and just standing, then I guess that might be safe. But I would say better to be safer and keep those eyes open. If you're going to be sitting down, just make sure there's nothing within your reach that you could knock over if you're going to keep your eyes closed. Okay? But as I said, really, really just go into that. So don't find yourself bogged down in what looks nice, because this isn't for an audience. This isn't a performance. Well, to some extent it is, but it's for you. And it's your practice. It's your meditation. It's about bringing you and your body closer together. So don't think about anything performative. Don't think about what looks nice, or you think that you've done a certain move more than once, so that's not right. If you do it and it feels good to you, it's right. So this practice can be for as long as you want or as short as you want. You can do it without music or you can do it with. And it was suggested to me by Kath that I give some music recommendations. It's entirely dependent on what it is you're after. So you can use drumming. So the last movement meditation workshop I did, we used the Pentacle Drummers, which was amazing. If you have a friend, or well, at this point we're in lockdown, so someone you live with, so whether it's a partner or roommate or kid, if any of them play instruments, you could have them join in and play an instrument. Or you can use there's, for those of you who remember that far back, there was a magazine called Mind Body Spirit, and that came with a bunch of CDs, and the composer for those, I believe, was Chris Kimber, and I think you can find him on YouTube. So he's a pretty good one to work with. That kind of music's very meditative and quite mellow. But you know, the sky is the limit. If you want to rock out to Nirvana and use that as your meditative focal point, do it. Whatever works for you. This is about you, your practice, and what is best for you, and what helps you get to that moment where you're focused on yourself and you're feeling all of that energy and connection. That's the important thing. So once you have done your practice, whether it is over the course of one song or like an album, you get pretty exhausted if you do for an entire album, but for the sake of it, if you decide to do it for ages, or whether it's for like 10 seconds, you want to start bringing yourself back to your starting position to get yourself ready to come out of it, because you don't want to end up in your extremely highly frenetic state, and you will be moving around a lot, which means your heart rate is gonna go. Even if you just sat down, just lifting your arm above your head will make your heart rate increase slightly, because you're now using a few muscles, and that's gonna need a bit more oxygen to get to those muscles. So you need to be able to bring yourself back to center. And the way to do this is basically to do your entire practice in reverse. Not precisely in reverse, but if you're really, really big and you're still doing and it's all really big, and you want to start making everything smaller. So if you're still reaching out really, really big, then you need to start making that smaller. Start making it smaller, and you want to bring yourself very gradually, don't rush it, bring yourself back to this movement, which is your entryway, and you need to go back out through that way. And once you bring it in, and you've done that enough times, you slow yourself down, you kind of feel yourself going back into your resting state. Just need to put your hands down, and if your eyes aren't already closed, close them, and just go back to listening to your breath and feeling that all come back to center. And then once you are ready to come back into the now, just open your eyes, and it's as simple as that. So one other tip I would say, so I've mentioned before about having a bottle of water handy. Because it's also a physical activity as well as a spiritual one, I would also suggest having something to eat afterwards, just as a grounding, and also just to give yourself a little bit of energy back into yourself. So whether it's like a biscuit or a slice of bread, bit of cheese, it's up to you. Just something, whatever you feel like you need, just to get yourself kind of back into the here and now, and to ground you, and you sort of replenish yourself, because you will have done a lot of physical activity, and that is going to burn some energy and calories that you didn't do before. So you're going to want to have a little something. So that's it. That is your crash course in a practice and movement meditation, and I can do some more discussion about that with different techniques, because I have covered these before, and we can come back to it again. And the main thing is just to dance like no one's watching, because as much as self-conscious as we all feel, no one is watching. When we're doing our spiritual dance practice, it's just you. It's you, and if you invited some deities in, it's them as well, but they're not going to judge. They're going to want to see you express yourself wholly. Okay? So don't worry about being self-conscious. It's normal. You just need to let it go, because no one's watching. even when you're in a ritual with a bunch of people, which won't be for a while unless you live with your coven, then everyone's going to be focusing on themselves rather than you. So that's my talk for today, and I hope you enjoyed it. I hope I didn't waffle on a bit too much, although if you've come to my talks before, you know I do waffle. So I hope you enjoyed the content as well as the waffling. So I just want to do a couple of little extra bits right at the end, just to do a bit of promotion. Kath said I could, so, you know, if you don't like this part, take it up with Kath. No, please don't, she's lovely. So I've got a few things I want to talk about. And so as I've said, outside of this, I am a dance teacher and I run a dance company. This company is Via My Dance and Fitness. And I'm based where I live, which is in Bedfordshire. But due to the lockdown, I am now unable to teach, which has been a source of massive frustrations for me. And what I've ended up doing is been recording dance classes and putting them online. I do have an adult street dance class and a children's street dance class available for people to book on. It will be charged from April because I need to be able to afford food. So if you would be interested in booking onto any of those, I will include, I will include, by the time this goes up, I will have done it in post. There's a link be on the screen, which will go to the Via My Dance website. You just need to follow all that, and that will give you all the information of how to sign up. Or you can find us on Facebook. Just type in VYMY Dance, and that will come up. And we're also on Instagram if you want to see what other things my students have been up to. And then apart from that, I have a Patreon, because as I said, I'm unable to work, and being a dancer, it's one of those things where you struggle to do it remotely. Although I'm doing talks for Children of Artemis and Pagan Pride, and I'm also doing a performance of Pagan Pride as well. That from the comfort of my own home through videoing, it's still not quite the same thing. So if you are one of those lucky people who is able to work remotely and actually does have a steady income coming in, it's count your lucky stars, because it's really hard for those of us who are self-employed and don't have the option to work from home. But if you're able to, become a patron, that will be really, really great. I do several other things, including writing and crochet, needle felting, and I'm hoping to give some of that stuff out to my patrons as well. So that link is now also on the screen. And I hope that you guys would be able to help me out a little bit there. So that leaves just the normal stuff of where to find me. So you'll find me on Facebook quite a bit. So I am a moderator on the Children of Artemis Facebook page, Nisha, which is my non-pagan name, it's my real name. So if you have any questions about anything, you can always just drop me a message, that's fine. Although it's my account is locked, so which means that I may not see your message right away, but I will get it. You can also follow my page, which is Raegan Shanti. The correct spelling is on the screen now, because I know sometimes people forget how to spell it, because I'm awkward and decide to pick my own new interesting way of doing it. And I have a blog, which is raeganshanti.weebly.com. There is a link to that on the Facebook page, but also I am putting another link on the screen, nice and handy. And I think that's everything. You can find me on Twitter, but I don't tend to do a lot of pagan-y posts on that, but that is NishaVM88. Mostly I just have lots of political rants on there. But that's it from me, and I hope you really enjoyed this talk and you look forward to some other ones in future. So that's it from me. Blessed be.